Boy of the Painted Cave, Chapter 12. With Graybeard gone, Cal felt a new sense of emptiness. He spent much of his time drawing mammoths, bison, and rhinos in Graybeard's little cavern. Each evening he stood on top of the cliff, scanning the valley, waiting for the old man to return. As the days passed and Graybeard did not show up, the boy became impatient. Why does he not come back, he thought. He has always kept his word. Maybe something is wrong. He considered going to find him, but he knew he could not cross the river or go into the lands of the other people. Each day the boy waited with growing concern. Then one morning, down in the slough, Ram growled, and Tal looked up to see Graybeard standing in the middle of the glade, as if he had come out of the earth. He had his flint-tipped spear in his hand, and he carried the shoulder blade of a horse strapped to his back. Tal hurried toward him, an expression of joy and relief in his eyes. "I'm happy to see you, old shaman. It has been a long time." Graybeard nodded. "There are many places I must go, and I do not walk as fast as I used to." The old man coughed and passed a shaky hand across his brow. Tal winced as he saw the worn face, the pinched cheekbones. He was worried, but he knew the old man would not want him to show concern. "The cave is ready," Tal said, "but first you must rest and eat." He took some dried meat and fish from a leather pouch, and they sat with their backs against an old red oak and ate their meal. Tal wondered if Graybeard remembered his promise. When they were finished, they started across the valley. Graybeard stopped many times, poking around the stream beds and gravel banks with the shaft of his spear, searching. Then he found what he was looking for. He picked up a stick and dug out a handful of bright red earth. "Here," he said as he poured it into an empty leather sack. "This will make good red paint. Now we must find yellows and whites." "I have yellow clay," said Tal. The old man did not remember. The old man did remember. "Good. We can dig up some limestone powder near the foot of the cliffs. That will mix well for the lighter colors." When they had all the red, white, and yellow earth they needed, they went up to the top of the cliff, using the easy path that Graybeard had found. They reached the tunnel to the hidden cave and removed the cover of branches to let in the sunlight. In the cave, Graybeard sat on the ground and Tal squatted beside him. The old man poured some of the red earth into one of the saucer-shaped rocks that Tal had collected. Then, using a smooth, round stone, he began grinding it into a fine powder. When it was to his liking, he added some of Tal's fish oil, mixing it into a dark red paint. He poured a small amount of this into 3 other shallow stone dishes. In the first one he added a lump of yellow clay, in the second he sprinkled limestone powder, in the third he added charcoal dust. Using a small clean stick for each, he mixed them well, ending with 3 different colors, a bright orange, a salmon pink, and a dark brown. Tal was amazed. He sat quietly watching. This too was magic, he thought. Graybeard spread out more saucers and began blending shades of yellows, browns, grays, and blacks. Some he mixed with honey, and some with the boiled fat and clotted blood from the boar. "Next we must make our brushes," he said. He took a handful of twigs from his pouch and began mashing the ends with a stone until they were soft and ragged. He held one up in the shaft of sunlight beaming through the cave entrance. He turned it around for Tal to see. "These are small," he said, "for painting eyes and fine lines of hair and fur." He made larger brushes by tying feathers and boar bristles around the ends of long sticks with strings of vegetable fiber. When all the paints and brushes were made, the old man got to his feet. "Now," he said, "we are ready to paint." Tal held out the shoulder blade of the horse, while Graybeard poured spots of the colored paints onto its broad white surface. He handed the boy one of the large brushes and pointed to Tal's pictures of the rhinos, bison, and mammoth. The boy held his breath. He had never had a brush in his hand before. "Which one will I paint?" Graybeard smiled. "You are the image maker. Paint the one you like best." "The mountain that walks," said Tal. Graybeard nodded. "Then begin." Tal hesitated, glancing at the paints on the shoulder blade, uncertain. "He saw the mammoths," said Graybeard. "Or you saw the mammoths," said Graybeard. "What color were they?" "Reddish brown." "Good," said the old man. "Then mix a little black with the red until you have the color you wish." Tal dipped his brush into the spot of black and then mixed it with red. He lifted his hand and touched it to the drawing. It was still too light, so he dipped in another dab of black. Again his brush touched the drawing. He smiled. It was a deep reddish brown, the color he wanted. He continued to dip and touch. Graybeard watched as Tal repeated the motion again and again. He reached out and stopped the boy's hand. You are not painting on an antler or a seashell, he said. You are painting on a wall. Do not dab. Swing the brush with your whole arm. Graybeard took the brush and began sweeping it across the drawing, following the lines of the mammoth's body. Tao saw the old man's face brighten as he worked, laying on great swaths of color. He felt the excitement as the picture came alive. Do not be afraid, said Graybeard, his eyes glowing. You can always go over what you do not like. He gave the brush back to Tao and the boy tried again. This time he let his arm go free, swinging the brush across the wall. He mixed gray with yellow to fill in the light areas around the chest and stomach. He painted dark shadows on the shoulders and back to add shading. Shading. He saw his mammoth begin to breathe as he filled in the eye and the waving trunk. When the painting was finished, Graybeard cracked open the duck eggs. He separated the yolks and set them aside. He poured the whites into a clean cockle shell, stirred them with a stick, and handed the shell to Tao. The boy was puzzled. What is this for? Spread it over your painting and you will see. With a feather brush, Tao washed the egg white over the picture. This time the mammoth came alive with bright new colors. He stared at it in surprise. This had been done by his own hand. He smiled. Never had he felt so happy. The following morning, Graybeard went off on his mission of mercy and magic. He was gone for long periods, but he always returned to the little cavern at the top of the cliff to show the boy more about the painting, how to make light and shadows, where to find the red and yellow earth with which to make colors. Sometimes they sat together on the edge of the cliffs talking. Here they looked up at the night sky and Graybeard pointed out the stars, the first one to appear each night, the one that was red and the one that always leads toward the north. Here, too, Graybeard showed him how to make fire and told him where to find the special herbs to cure sickness. The last time the old man went off on his journey, Tao and Ram walked with him across the valley. When they reached the river, Graybeard turned. Your drawings are better now. They are true, and they begin to live. Maybe now you can call yourself a cave painter. I thank you for that, said Tao, and for all the things you have taught me. I am happy. The old man smiled. You know the many beautiful things you can make with a brush and a dab of paint? That is all you have to know. That is all that really matters. They said goodbye, and as the old man walked away, Tao heard the long, hacking cough. He noticed the weary, shambling gait. His heart ached, and deep inside he was afraid for his old friend.